Coach, welcome back. Hope everything is good on the home front. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you doing this with us. How do you feel about TJ going as a play caller in his first opportunity? And is that something you're going to kind of put a little bit more on his plate?
I think that was a little bit more because I wasn't here with the play calling part of it. I mean, I think any coach, especially a young coach in this league that's worked hard like TJ has, you want the chance to move up, and he's putting himself in a position where he can do that. He's a hard worker and he does a good job. So it was, in that situation where he got thrust into calling the plays. You don't ever know if you're really prepared, but we spent a lot of time together over the spring and, going through all this stuff, and he did a good job. So, it's something good for him to be proud of, and, we got to get back onto the grind.
And follow up on that, Coach. How do you feel about both quarterbacks playing last week and moving forward?
Well, they both did good things. And, it's something it's when you got two good quarterbacks, you have to find a way to try to manage that. And that's what we're doing. It's never easy. But we're thankful that we have two guys in Troy and EJ that can do it. And whether we go with that as we progress or not, I don't really know. I hadn't put a lot of thought into it from the standpoint of just back in town working with these guys again. So we'll see how that progresses as we move forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
You got
Very good to see you out there again. Appreciate you doing this. Can you go over the process? Kind of piggyback off James's question. You said Coach Turner essentially recruited you back in 2022.
Yeah, it was right after the arena season, so I left Northwestern and thought I was going to be an undrafted guy. Got a late round grade from a team, and then COVID happened, and I was like, "Uh oh, don't know what life is going to look like," and had to sit out a year. Was working a regular job, and then had the opportunity to go to the IFL, and I'm so thankful that I did because at the time it was just about getting film. And the very first question that Coach Turner asked me after that season is, "Do you have any film from the last year?" And I just thought, like, what if I didn't have any film? Like, would I even have the opportunity to be in this position? But for the simple fact that I did, I think it really helped me because it gave him a picture of who I was as a player that was like within the last 365 days. And kind of the rest is history from there, being with the Breakers and then going to the XFL with the Seattle Sea Dragons. And, the rest is, still being written. But yeah, it was Coach Turner that came and got me from that IFL team. And, very grateful for that.
Obviously, there's a bunch of different football leagues going on, especially in the arena circuit and whatnot. Would you consider yourself a strong advocate for it, not only considering your success, but the success of so many others?
100%. When you're coming out and when you're in college and the NFL is on the horizon, you think that there's nothing that can get in the way of that. And you don't think about the numbers or you being part of a statistic. But, unfortunately, COVID played a part in me not getting to the NFL. And whether I get there or not, that's still, to be determined. That's still kind of still being etched out. But at the end of the day, if you don't have leagues like the IFL, if you don't have leagues like the UFL, you don't have an opportunity to really bridge the gap between college and the NFL if your situation is to explore some of those options in between. So I've had conversations with numerous guys like if you're not getting any love from the UFL or the XFL when it was around or the USFL when it was around, like go play in the arena because at least you're still playing football and you have an opportunity to put yourself out there. But that's only if you really love the game. If you don't really love the game, then maybe it's time to go do something else because sometimes loving the game causes you to be in some uncomfortable positions to ultimately get to your end goal.
Thank you, Jared. That was a great soundbite too. Jared, obviously, dynamic pass rush by DC. As Darian was saying, a lot of movement. Greg Williams defense, go down the list. But to me, it's extremely. There's obviously faults in Greg Williams' game and whatnot. Magoo's running 84 plus yards on what looked like to be, I think, 7 of the 8 rushes were broken plays and whatnot, because they can't maintain their pass rush lane or their pass rush lanes. When you guys are watching film and whatnot, you're blessed to have Troy and EJ back there. Has that kind of been discussed as well? It's kind of this bend don't break, if especially when they try to get a little bit too cute there, and a lot of times Greg has single high coverage in the back end, so it does leave his corners vulnerable.
Yeah, I think when I'm not going to say all media does this, but when you pay attention to the games and you're not just looking at the box scores, the game will really tell you something. So I take our game against Michigan. People will say, well, you guys lost 26-12. But those that didn't watch the game didn't see that, we were in position to go score and potentially tie the game at the end of it in the fourth quarter. So I would say the same thing for the Birmingham game. There was a couple of times that Birmingham was leading in that game. There was probably some execution things that they probably wish they had back, maybe some things that they didn't get so cute on. And, they were a little bit more vanilla, for the lack of a better term. So I think all of those things are at play. And at the end of the day, it's about putting yourselves in a position to be successful. So to your question, when you have a quarterback that can move and is mobile, it doesn't allow the defense to just tee off on you in that way. Because as you saw against, Birmingham with DC, there were some gaps out there that were open that Magoo was able to take advantage of. So to whether it's called or whether it's not, or whether it's even in the game plan at all, just to be able to go off schedule in that way and have a quarterback that can do that, I think is huge.
Appreciate you jumping on with us. I know you're saying it's a whole new defense and whatnot, but how does it feel to kind of be back with Jaron Horton in general, and obviously kind of picking some of the stuff he's brought from the 2023 team to also the new stuff he's bringing into 2025?
Yeah, it's just a good sense. Familiarity is always good. Being comfortable is always good. So, being able, personally, for me to be in a position in a system that I've played in before and have had success in before, it was a very comfortable feeling.
Do you feel like kind of last year you're kind of taken out of a groove a little bit, from the progression in Birmingham, and then obviously they have changes at coordinator. Anthony Blevins comes in. Obviously, they're all qualified men, qualified coaches, but just because he's a good coach for one guy might not be good for another guy type thing.
Not necessarily, credit to Birmingham and everything that they got going over there. Every system is different, every team is different. So, wherever you go, you try to adjust to the system and their scheme. And things in Birmingham. It was I enjoyed my time there. I really did. Things may not have went exactly the way I wanted them to go, but it's nothing but love for those guys over there.
Well, I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you.